Hey folks, Happy New Year's. It's T2sday. The results for this time, the goals for this time didn't do very well. Starting at the bottom, so some fucking timeline we're in, huh? Uh, this is a record for my goal that I failed at the fastest in less than 24 hours from the time I set this as a goal for mine to the time that didn't happen. Beevee's world model, that's the main thing. I was supposed to actually get a world model, but it's not exactly clear what that is, so I'll talk about that. Next LCF book over the hump, I'll talk about that as well. I mean, basically, I got the feeling that, a world model is a really big task, and it has a lot of different meanings and a lot of different aspects. So even if I get a little bit of progress, I'm going to say a plus minus. I'm going to say there's a little bit of something, and I will talk about that today. And just this morning, as I was wasting time while supposedly preparing for right now, The Verge had an article. Google is building its own world modeling AI team. Like that. World model. It's the same thing. Because what a world model allows you to do is to imagine stuff happening in your head, and the world model makes a prediction about what the result of something might be, so you can go back and forth and you can do, now, of course, large language models are notorious for making inferences that aren't true. Well, now large language models augmented with world models will be able to make reasoning that isn't true, but then an awful lot of human reasoning isn't true either. So usually I talk about development first community, and I'm going to turn it around the other way because I've got some things to go on. So last November, it's been 2 months since my last confession. The original goal for all of this, was to produce the collected works of Vaughn Joy Manin, this mysterious person or collective entity from the future, who wrote the Path to Best Effort in 2038 or 2039. I don't remember exactly, and so on. But the one basic problem that I had trouble getting around with is that Vaughn Joy Manin hasn't written very much, and after struggling with it, along with doing lots of other stuff, original goal, new goal, Collected Works Volume 1, which in Nerdland would be Collected Works 10, a Living Computation Foundation book. And the idea is anything that relates to living computation is fair game. And Andrew, who wrote a really great understandable, unlike my presentations, introduction to robust first computation, wrote a pretty long blog post about it. He's agreed that we can reprint that in Collected Works 10. Lou Wilson and I think are going to try to extend our dialogues on natural code to continue the dialogue, and have a revised version in the Collected Works and so on. So I feel good about this. This is number one. There's a chance of getting pages that I don't have to write, and I want to bring the community in. I want to say, there really isn't any place to say, it's a little premature to say living computation has a real field and practitioners and so forth, but it could be going in that direction, and it'll be a good thing to have a place to collect our stuff. So that's the plan. Also, in November, I think I spoke at a Santa Fe Institute working group meeting on emergent engineering. I'm going to show like maybe 30 seconds or so of that, and then talk about what machines want. Is a provocative title that I enjoyed quite a bit. I kept wanting to stick on a subtitle, something like, how bottom-up engineering will solve all our problems or something like that. But then it just was so much punchier without a subtitle, so I stuck with it. I'm going to answer the question, what machines want. Machines want space, materials, power, and time. So what I have been working on for about the last a decade or more is called the T2 Tile project. And my goal is to build a whole new computational stack to demonstrate other ways to compute. A lot of folks who I've spoken to, especially folks coming from other disciplines than computation, tend to have a very narrow view of computation, like CPU and RAM and deterministic execution. That's what computation is. Yeah, so in that context, I posted a link to the video, which didn't have the question and answer period, just the video, on the Fediverse, where I do my social media, such as it is, and got a reply guy that came out of the woodwork. Need engineering for robustness, but I call bullshit. Machines don't want anything, nothing like a living cell. Agency has nothing to do with computing. People are not, etc. And, in the typical fashion where, it starts out with a nominally positive thing, need engineering, and then just slags, continuously all the way through. This person was really quite upset. But I just talked about it. What they were doing was taking this narrow version that the only thing the computation is traditional computability, narrow universal computation, all of that stuff that doesn't apply to the T2sday, the T2 matrix. So I responded, welcome, soldier for narrow computation. And it went on back and forth several times. And I was trying to maintain a certain amount of good-natured, human-to-human contact. But the reply guy was definitely not interested in that. All the bullshit you're dishing out, your self-promoting video, glib dismissals, fooling yourself. Computationalism is a cult. I might take that, actually. Pitiable and so on and so forth. So I interacted a little bit, probably more than I really wanted to. I'm playing my FedI Council priorities game, and that's why I wanted to mention it here. It's the idea of spirit first, that if we're in a communication environment where it's not just casual and friendly, but it's, unknown people you might communicate with, the most important thing is you have to be good-spirited about what you're saying, which means being a cranky reply guy is in violation of the rules of the FedI Council. So my takeaway from this, well, number one, of course, it's, social media and the received wisdom that you're just supposed to block and move on. By and large, I agree with that. But I decided to take this guy as practice to try to do spirit first, to try to respond in ways that were actually good-spirited, good-natured, even if I was zinging them a little bit, and they would think that I was not being good-natured, but I felt like I actually was, and that took some work, to lay off all of that, the slag and so forth. So I felt like it was practice, and I feel like I got some stuff from it, so that was okay. And so the general category of spirit first, and this I put this in my Fediverse profile a year or two ago. I don't know, spirit before name. That's the idea. It doesn't matter who you are, you got to be good-spirited, or the only topic of discussion is the fact that you're not being good-spirited, and we need to figure out why so that you can become good-spirited, and then we can move on to whatever it is you want to talk about, even if you want to criticize. Okay, but I felt like this was an apt time to update the T2 tile progress meter, which has been stuck since 2018 at the ridicule stage of Gandhi's steps to the success of a movement. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then they win. In 2018, I was ridiculed by no less than Alan Kay himself, and today I am declaring yes, it was just some internet theory rando that was fighting me about this stuff, but the progress meter has moved. There'll be more ridicule, there'll be more fights and so forth, but that's that. Okay, now let's talk about the code and development. The project, as I said, for 2025. build a world model. And why do we want a world model? Because it allows us to do reasoning and all kinds of things. How are we going to do it? Well, in the case of Beevee, our robot, we are going to continue to try to focus on having Beevee figure out where Beevee is on the grid, and being able to record when Beevee discovers things are someplace, to somehow record that and come back. The current step is follow the damn line. And line following is something that's well known from robot stuff, and so in some sense this should have been easy. So let's look at this. So this is just base Beevee zooming around, having a great time. Now we're trying to get Beevee to follow the lines between the light and dark tiles on the checkerboard. And basically, if there was any way to do it wrong, the dev team down in the project labs figured out a way to do it. Like, not detecting the signals properly, to when you do detect the signals, go in the wrong direction, and on and on and on. One of these experiments here, Beevee's brain actually gets completely remapped. This is still the old form. Yeah, and it was wiggling, but so now I'm speeding it up because once again, it's incredibly slow. It's still the old brain. So now it's actually starting to work. It's following the line. It's following the line and even managing to cross the cross lines from one tile to the other. That now it's just trying to find the damn line. That's all right. So there it is. It finds the line, and then Beevee starts to make some progress. And I speed it up again. This is still the old brain. I'm like, maybe I don't have the newer brain on this reel. I'm not sure. But basically, the problem was the control loop is slow enough and the actions on the motors are coarse enough that Beevee has to go incredibly slow to hold the track on the line with the code that it's got so far. But it does manage to do it. And that looks like it's really vibrating because I've sped it up even beyond its normal rate. Now we're going to have the problem where Beevee follows the line all the way to where there is no more line, and the red shows up as if it's all light colored. But, this took, I don't know, it took several days of working on it. Look at that. Look at that. Boom. I mean, again, he's going super slow in reality, but look at that. That was straight. Right? So that's pretty cool. And why do we care about the world model? These are my candidates for a title cards. I don't think I can really use this one because it's going to make people think it's about political activism, which it is, but it's so abstract, we'll never know it. Beevee's Project 2025. Build a world model so that it can use it and do much more thinking. In particular, do sequential thinking, not just stimulus response reactions. That's the goal. That would be pretty cool. I mean, to actually see that running in cellular automata with all of these things, that would be okay. So That's it. The goals for the next T2sday update in February. Beevee follows the line faster, and there's a lot of stuff about robotics, how to do that better. I'm going to do a PD controller, and if we get progress on that, which I'm hoping we really will, then Beevee will also start to count the crossings so that Beevee can know how many tiles it's gone over. I need to review my own world model because I'm wondering what to do about what's going on in the state of the world. And given everything in the state of the world, I want to make fun and share it. Thanks so much for dropping in and checking it out. Happy New Year anyway, and I hope to see you again in February.